What is going on, everybody? Happy Friday. BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets-Haber. Pretty much what's been happening for me lately. Win on one side, lose on the other last night.
Where'd you win?
Well, FanDuel, I didn't win much. I literally, I think I.
Yeah, so I won. I won on DraftKings.
We're on the opposite. Oh, you did well, huh?
Yeah, so I played that 600 and I cashed for 1,500 in that one. And I had a couple of other decent ones. I did okay, and I'll go over what we did. Remember, I mentioned even on the show, the live one, that I was going to end up playing LeBron in the big one, and it worked out.
I tell you what, man, I don't say I have feelings about LeBron very often. You know that, and we talked about it, and you know when there's a feeling, and that last night was a feeling. It was a national.
Yeah, just to review that particular lineup. I mean, it's nothing particularly incredible, right?
Well, I mean, it's hard on that slate.
So Doncic, dude, if that game didn't blow out, that whole game would have gone freaking ballistic, right?
Yep. Including.
So aside from that, I got lucky with I don't say lucky, but Maxey really got it going more in the second half.
Yeah, he got the blowout run to the max.
Yeah, and the rest of it was kind of whatever, and then LeBron just did it for me. I think I got one little extra money jump because he just insisted on getting that triple double before he came out of the game.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, you know what? I mean, look, it was, and that's a really nice lineup. Like, I mean, last night it was hard to get too different, and I unfortunately tried that on DraftKings, and that's probably what got me in trouble. I tried.
Well, you got all my FanDuel money because I couldn't get anything going on FanDuel. I played the I think I would finish last in the Monster or something close to it. Okay, that's becoming kind of a habit.
But that's good, Sheets. Like, if you're, you know what, I actually think that's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
So
and I had like one cash in the Slam, which was fine, But DraftKings, where I did, like I said, I played the rotation. I scored over 300 in that one. So yeah, I did kind of okay.
Yeah, well, nice job. I mean, that's, all we can do is plug away and then hopefully hit the big ones when they present themselves. And tonight is a really fun slate that I'm actually excited about.
Yeah,
got a lot of places to go. There's probably information we're going to hear that's going to change things. There's obvious chalk right now, which probably is going to become less obvious as the day goes on, and we inevitably hear about something we didn't.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? Like, it's yesterday I was kind of happy that we didn't do anything at 12, and today I might regret the same thing, but let's just see what happens. So, like, for example, you want to give me a slate overview?
Yeah, but see, the smaller slates to me, just real quick in general, like, the smaller slates to me are more that, like, when they're on back-to-backs and they're on a smaller slate, and that information will change the whole slate. Here, like, getting into a big slate like this, we still want to get an overall direction of what we want to do with our lineups. And one thing I'm going to do to correct my strategy lately that I haven't been doing is that sort of negotiating things throughout the day, because what does end up happening is you end up getting, like you said, you lose some track of those early plays that you like, what I mean?
Yeah.
And you don't want to do that. So let's do it. I also had a satellite for the 1,500 on FanDuel tonight, so I was going to play that anyway, but I'm happy to have
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah, we got to focus on that in the live thing tonight. We got to make sure you get that lineup the way you need it.
What's so funny is I built what is guaranteed to not be a chalk lineup that I feel incredible about.
Oh, just put it in
like 2 minutes. But we'll see. I mean, there's one big play I have over there that I'm willing to take a shot on. That
nice.
And it does fit. It fits all of our old narratives, and makes me wish we had fans in the stadium. That's all I can say.
Yep. I know. I think I know where we're going.
You know where I'm going, huh? All right. Well, let's jump into it. Let's go game by game on draft.
Well, first of all, before we do that, you want to know? I'll give you an overall slate view. I mean, six of my top 7 point per dollar plays are all from the same team. So it's they're all coming from OKC again. So
right.
We're gonna have to figure out which of those we want to play, which of them we don't, and how many, and what. And I think more important, as we discussed, is not as much whether or not to play the probably the pretty obvious decent chalk, but where the other spots are going to come from. Like, what does that buy you? Just playing value for value's sake is not the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Anyway, I think that we need to figure out which ways we want to lean there. It's a little tricky with them because as much as it's like a free for all, we'll get into the Thunder game, but I mean, I think they only have like 9 bodies, right? Unless we hear about a 10th that it emerges or something and they can call somebody off. I mean, it happens sometimes, but they really only have 9 bodies and one guy who hasn't played but 1 game in Darius Miller, although I expect him to get a lot more run. But it really, each of their people are completely in play. Like every player, every one of those 9 bodies is in play. and there's a very good chance that only two or three, well, probably three of them, crush, but do they crush enough? And there's a lot of other plays. So we'll get into it. We'll figure it out, but we'll start off with game by game.
All right, so I guess the first one is a really good one to start. Actually, the first two, because or you can say the first three, because you're going to be able to get, or four, because you're going to be able to get these fantasy points coming from these games. So I guess that first team that guys to me are kind of cheap is Indiana. And I think all of the main pieces, Sabonis, Turner, Brogdon, I think all of them are good plays. And also even Jeremy Lamb. I think all of them are pretty affordable, and that's one way you can go. And likewise, if you want to kind of stack the game a little bit, on the New Orleans side, I like nothing earth shattering, but I like the main three guys. I like Alonzo, Ingram, and Zion. And maybe this is you could just get a number right off the bat, and play. Indiana looked pretty they got kind of, man, they ran into the Milwaukee buzzsaw that I remember from last year in their last game, where Milwaukee just kind of play around, and then like during some stretch of the third quarter, the league goes from like 11-30. I mean, like that's what I remember from last year. And if they're gonna get back to doing that, they're gonna be legit. But Sabonis went off in three quarters. And he remains cheap. So I don't know. This is a good game to start, I think.
Yeah, so they're both playing fast too right now. They seem to be letting New Orleans do what they want a little bit more. I definitely have some interest in Lonzo, but I'm just starting on that side.
Yep.
It's tricky a little bit for me here because I once we get through the slate, you'll see why. Like at first, everybody seems like interesting plays, including Zion, who started to almost get our not ceiling game, but he had a big game the other night, and he's going to have plenty more of those. The problem I'm having with him is that in his big games, and they're not even that big, he's so efficient offensively. I just wish he had more control of the ball. I also wish he did something defensively. I got some steals and blocks, which he has not done this season like we thought he would. And I just feel like overall, I don't think I'm going to end up getting too much of Ingram and Zion as you'd want on this slate when you look at other guys, including guys on the other side who are just a little bit more expensive, like Sabonis, who's going to be popular. I actually think when we get through the slate, we may not love Sabonis as much as we first do.
I agree with that. We're starting right here. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do think that Jeremy Lamb can fit into some certain types of builds, but it's going to be weird because you're not really playing him over Diallo much. Like, you know what I mean? There, maybe here and there, but I don't know. I don't think it's a strong way to play to do that. I do want to take away, don't worry about his 18-minute game in the blowout on the back-to-back. Just don't worry about it. Jeremy Lamb will play minutes tonight. And this game should stay close. So I guess I would rank them Sabonis. I do like Brogdon over on FanDuel because is not like there's like two mispriced guys, then you could pay up or you can play Brogdon, in my opinion.
Okay.
And we'll get into position of FanDuel at the end. Anyway, I guess I'd rank them Sabonis, Turner. Oh, I do like Turner a little bit. Sabonis, Turner, Brogdon, Lamb, but I don't think I'm going to end up getting that much Brogdon realistically on FanDuel. I'm trying on DraftKings just because of the position and the other plays that I like. Like, are you really going to play Brogdon over both of the Toronto guards?
Maybe, no.
It seems foolish in that matchup to me to do that. I don't think it's like crazy, but those guys pretty much every other game, one of them puts up between 50 and 85, or 45 and 85, and they're the same price. And it's a decent matchup for Brogdon, but I don't think he's like a lock for 50. But I do think there's upside there. So anyway, we'll get back to it. But I do think he's better priced where those guys are more expensive over on DraftKings. On FanDuel, on DraftKings you can play them at less than him. On FanDuel, they're both much more expensive than Brogdon.
Yeah, my first. You remember you said you built like a 2-second lineup on FanDuel that you really like. Yeah, I built I liked my first like I say 2 seconds, I literally mean like 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up with Brogdon and Sabonis.
Yeah, they both make sense. I like Sabonis better over there because of the power forward position and the fact that, Jason Tatum, for example, is more expensive over there. But I also do think that I think you're looking a lot at Sabonis and Giannis early in the day over on FanDuel, in my opinion. And I don't even love Giannis today. All right, Chicago, Orlando. Do you wanna get it started?
Yeah, I'll play Levine and I'll play Vooch.
Yeah, I really like Levine. The guards have just been killing Orlando. Look what we just saw. What happened the other night with Van Vliet. I mean, he's not, he put up 1 million real life points, and Levine, it just seems like a totally solid matchup for him. I like the price. Again, you're going to run into weird things because playing him over the Toronto guys even feels funny with the matchup. I mean, I'm giving them the Brooklyn boost, in a game that I expect to be high and tight. So that's the only issue I run into with playing Levine. I do think I want to get a little bit more of him. But I currently have him around 25% in my initial builds. And I sort of like Patrick Williams as a long shot play. With rookies who are, this cheap and are going to play this many minutes, I think there is more upside than maybe we can really measure based on their track record, which has sort of been all over the place. Because if Porter is out again, which we expect him to be, and if with everybody out, all it takes is like somebody else in foul trouble and he even gets more minutes, or he knocks down a 3 and then he gets to shoot a couple more. It doesn't take that much for him to turn those 20 fantasy point games into 30 fantasy point games. So he's just on my radar as potential on FanDuel, even at 4,200. I don't love it. I just early value. And then Kobe White at some point seems like he's going to go off. And I think this is a good candidate for that spot. I wish they gave Denzel Valentine more minutes. I would recommend him as a value play, but I just can't do with the minutes that he's playing.
So let me start with the Toronto Brooklyn then.
So
Orlando, I presume you like Vooch?
Oh yeah, well yeah, I like Vooch a lot, but you're going to see again. I think early on it's going to look like a center day in the utility spot. It wasn't yesterday.
No.
Today feels that way because there's some awesome centers. So I don't think Vooch is anywhere near a lock. I actually think there's 2 other guys that are just about as good a play as maybe better or cheaper. And I like Cole Anthony more on FanDuel.
Yep.
I like Terrence Ross. Look, anytime Terrence Ross is just gonna give yourself a chance. If he's missing some shots early, he'll just basically quiet down. If he makes a few shots, he'll keep shooting. He's the heat check guy, guard against the Bulls, who is going to play plenty of minutes tonight with no front court really for their team. He'll play a small forward a lot. I think other people will like Fournier a little bit. I just am going to keep going back to it. Cheats. You watch this guy play well, and he just doesn't put up really monster ceiling games. I don't think you can do it on this slate comfortably, in my opinion. But I do think Terrence Ross at his price is a little bit interesting.
That's a little weird. I mean, because I kind of think that way of Terrence Ross.
No, it's not right though. It's
different. Okay.
I mean, well, I think it's just. I mean, first of all, the price difference is the difference. If they're obviously the same price, I would play. But I mean, I think they have the same number of 40 fantasy point games this year, and Ross, I'm sure, has more 30 fantasy point games probably, or 28.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like Cole Anthony more on. I mean, he's fine on FanDuel. We'll get to FanDuel later.
It is going to be interesting if he does get popular on FanDuel, because what I've noticed is like the exaggerated things that happen between the ownerships on these sites. Like when you have a guy who's like $700 different or whatever, but he's like, and I know it's more actually, it's like he's actually taking up more of your salary cap on DraftKings, even worse than that. It'd be like if he was like 6'4" on FanDuel. But I just think you have to like realize like if a guy's a good play on one side, he's probably like in this case, when it's not that huge of a gap, he's still a good play on DraftKings too. He just doesn't stand out the same way. Sorry, Cheats.
No, that's fine. Okay. You want to move on or?
Yeah, let's do it. You could start. You seem like you wanted to start the Toronto.
Yeah, so I actually like Siakam more than either of the guards. And not that it's a big deal, but I think they're all okay. I think they're all okay. But I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised, by the way, with the I don't want to say lack of ownership, but the moderate amount of ownership to say, at most the Toronto guys are going to get, just because they're priced up a little bit,
They're priced up on DraftKings, in my opinion.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I mean.
No, but they're not priced up.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, $8K for these guys? Yeah, I guess so.
I've paid like $9K for Van Vliet before.
Oh, well then they're not priced up.
No, I mean, on DraftKings. No, but you're right. They're more expensive than they have been on DraftKings.
I mean, it's so funny. Like I like a guy in a much worse matchup. I like Westbrook more than either of those guys.
Well, that's obvious. Yeah. We'll get to that.
I'm just saying.
No, I don't mean it to be like belittling. I mean more like, you know what I'm going to say. You know, I'm not going to say don't play Westbrook at 9K. I'm not.
Right. I mean, as a matter of fact, I mean, we'll get to him later. I mean, and this could all change, but like right now, you put a gun to my head. I don't know. I think Chris Paul is almost as good. I don't know.
Oh God, no.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you got to look at this.
Well, considering you got to find the run back with the lock of the
Let's not
year.
talk about medians, okay? Let's talk about what these guys score in real life in each game, okay? So,
well, Skull, you want to line up Chris Paul's recent fantasy numbers?
I'm just saying every game all season, and this is also
okay, all right.
But also this is the literal nut matchup, and I mean, I actually have a little bit
of
concern about the blowout factor, considering that Detroit gets run out of the building every night.
Well, hold. Before we get into it, okay, I just want to say, you know, and I talked about this, I apologize for only talking about it for 3 minutes yesterday when I could have talked about it for a half an hour, because we also had our meeting for our other business, whatever. Listen, guys, I mean, I'm not talking like blow out this, blow out that. Let me first of all explain something to you, okay? When a team is missing its best players, they always, not always, they are very likely for everybody else just to pick up the slack. They just do. It's been human nature since humans have been alive. And you know, those are the blowouts I don't worry about. Like we're like the Portland game yesterday, right? These are NBA players, and they're human beings too. And the combination of them being good players anyway, plus the desire to make up for like the loss of like the best players on the team. You know, we heard all day about how I hope Philly's gonna, you know, hope Portland can stay in the game so that Embiid can get his run, and you know, it's quite a decent bit of irony, right? That Portland blew Philly out, right? So I'm just saying that when you're yes, I do want you to think about blowouts, but I would prefer you to project like the blowouts of like, you know, just when everybody's got their regular guys, than worrying than the blowouts, which are big spreads because players are being missed. Because when players are missed, I'm telling you, and I've been doing this a long time as far as like looking at sports, is they just always seem to pick up the pace.
How about Golden State as an example? Look at them last night.
There you have it.
Smoked Dallas for the same kind of way.
There you have it.
You know what though? On the flip side, what I've been saying about Utah, and I don't think it's as true tonight. Also paid off as well, because they did destroy them.
Well, but that's the point. The point was, who did Utah play last night?
Detroit, right?
Utah played.
Am I missing? Let me double check here.
Sure.
I'll get it together in a second, but go ahead. Go ahead, Cheech. Anyway, no, sorry, I'll go ahead. The point is that I do hear what you're saying about the shorthanded, and it is odd that in 3 games they've been blown out this year, but Philly has. One, they were shorthanded, and the other 2.
Utah was at Atlanta, yes.
Oh, Atlanta, okay, yeah, but they beat them handily pretty much, and it saved me a lot of the Atlanta players.
But the other thing I will say also, and I really, you know, think this means something, is that Lillard was ruled out early in the day, mm-hmm. right? As opposed to Trae Young being kind of like shocked to the system for Atlanta, you know. So I would have, if you put a gun to my head, I would have said Portland would perform better than Atlanta.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of. It was interesting how it worked out too, because it really did point out an incredibly like. I mean, I just was in shock at how poor Philly played defensively without Ben Simmons. It made him look like the defensive player of the year.
Well, yeah, and it's not like Philly was fully stocked either. You know?
Yeah, that's right. No, missing Ben Simmons is a big deal.
Okay, so anyway, you were saying that you're a little concerned about the Brooklyn. I wouldn't be so sure about.
I'm not concerned about the Brooklyn-Toronto game. I didn't.
I think just as easily Toronto could blast Brooklyn.
But I didn't say anything about that. I literally.
I know that. I know.
Yeah, I'm definitely not worried about. This is not one that I'm choosing to worry about.
All right. So again, that was a big diversion, big whatever from diversion from what we were talking about. But so I like Siakam. I like the guards a little bit. And to be off brand, I am good. I think I can play Boucher at that price.
I'm with you on the Boucher thing, except I'm not with you on the guards. I'm planning on having about 35% Van Fleet on DraftKings. I'm planning on having about 30% Lowry, and I'll probably have about 20% of Siakam. I just think that the ceiling is higher versus the guys you're comparing them with, and it's consistent. I mean, if you look at just these guys, and I know Siakam's hit a couple games, but he does it like once in a blue moon, and I know it's a good matchup for everybody. That's why I want to play all of them a little bit. But I mean, you're talking about like Van Vliet has been under 40 once, and that was in a massacre.
Right.
This whole like in the last 8 games or whatever. He's for his projections to be around 40 across the industry is kind of crazy to me. Like it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense at point per dollar, matchup, anything. So I might even end up with more of these guys depending on what break shakes out. The problem is there's other good plays. Otherwise, I'd have them even higher. And then I love running it back. I'd rather use, okay, like I know it sounds crazy to call this a long shot play, but I like James Harden. I've said it over and over about these guards against Toronto, the distributing guards. I just think he's going to end up with another triple double tonight. And I still don't know if I'm going to end up being able to play him because it feels hard. I mean, as much as I like, but I do think I could use him a little bit on FanDuel where it's just to get different at that position. Kyrie I have just behind Durant here, but I don't love Kyrie quite as much as I love Durant.
Yeah, I have Durant. I have the Durant and Harden very close to one another, and then I have Kyrie definitely decently behind both of them.
So I really like the Harden thing, and that was what first struck me about this. But I still have his just because of the price. I have his ownership sort of less than these guys. But I've heard other people, and not just you two's thinking it. I don't know. Maybe we're sort of onto something with the Harden thing. Maybe we should go back to that. But I would say if you're going to play like James Harden, you want to try to get some exposure to the Toronto team too. It's just this game could shoot. I just think that everybody's like,
the problem. I think the problem I have with the analysis is the same problem I'm having with getting too behind Van Vliet. And let me just kind of talk this out. So like the Toronto guys, for me, it always seems as though when they're all healthy, that it's just kind of hard to predict which one of them is going to have the blowout game. Like when you have Powell playing and Lowry and Van Vliet and when you have them all out there, it just feels as though maybe this is my bias, right? I just look at Toronto as like kind of more of a team than a collection of individuals, right? So I always feel as though they just kind of share the ball and run their stuff and get their W's and whatever it was, and nobody really just goes through the roof, except for the other day, obviously, when Van Vliet went bananas, right?
Lowry
so that's kind of right. So that's kind of why I just envision Toronto. So likewise, if I'm going to play Harden, I mean, I don't really need one person from Toronto to go ballistic. I just need like everybody just kind of just do their thing. So maybe my perception of Toronto is a little misguided, right? That I just,
Can I just say, okay, so I watch Toronto really closely. I play them a lot, and they've been really, really good to me, by the way.
Yeah.
But partly what happens is, I always err on the guy. I always end up with Van Vliet these days when they're all priced similar, because he's going to shoot the ball more. That's just how you settle it. He's going to give himself more of that opportunity. While you have more of maybe a floor with Lowry, you'd think, because of the assists and all that. The truth is Van Vliet will do that, on it every now and then as well. I do think that in this kind of matchup, you should treat it like it's the Nets. And it's gonna. I mean, we've seen these games end up in the 140s and 150s with Brooklyn. Like this doesn't need to. I like the over in this game, by the way. The weird play.
What is it? 240?
It's 240. Yeah, 240.
Yeah.
Look, so Aaron Baines should jump off the page as a good play. And
why?
He won't. Well, first of all, centers are going to destroy this Brooklyn team every time they get a chance. And it wasn't that long ago that he looked 2 games ago. He looked pretty good against Orlando in that matchup, and that was a tough matchup. The problem is I don't know how many big players Brooklyn's going to play, so he might just be played off the court.
Yeah,
I think
that's why I like Boucher,
which lends itself to Boucher, which is what. Yeah, exactly. So you just use Boucher at 300 more. The problem is, like, I wouldn't go in and think like Boucher is like some sort of safe play. Like he might play like 10 minutes. This is no joke. And by the way,
of course,
they each have like 10-minute floors.
But I can see a variation. I really don't see the variation where Baines plays a lot of minutes. I just don't see it like that. I see it just turning into a, like you said, like kind of a track meet. I don't.
Yeah, it's only if they decided to play DeAndre Jordan a little bit more. I don't think they will. Yeah, probably going to just be Jeff Green more. Yeah, I don't think it's something to worry. It's just it's worth thinking about the play anyway. I'm not sure if I'm really going to end up with it, but Boucher does make some sense.
Want to move on?
Yeah, let's go to Cleveland and Milwaukee.
So are they going to play Drummond or no?
I'm assuming.
Were they going to play him like a real human being, or?
I don't know about that.
I mean, is he a better player than Vucevic?
Without a doubt, he's not. I mean, he hasn't played 28 minutes since the trade. He had the one game. No, that was before the trade. That was while the players were coming over. He put up 74. He played 32 against Minnesota that one game. I forgot about that one.
I genuinely think he's the only chance like they have to keep this game close.
I don't know if I agree with that. Like, but I actually like Sexton. I mean, assuming Sexton playing or not is a deal. But
well, the reason why I mention it is I think that's like the only position where they have like an edge. You know,
still have an edge there with Jared Allen, but
so I don't know. I feel as though I don't know. Like if you're gonna play,
for me,
if you're gonna play Giannis, I think I don't know. I think I'd play Drummond.
I have a little bit of Drummond. On FanDuel, he's 7,500 also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is pretty crazy. But look, you got Vooch, who's just barely more expensive, and you've got Gobert at 7,500, and you've got Ayton at 7,100. It's a little bit harder on DraftKings to justify for me. But I understand it. I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm gonna end up with 0 of them. But it's not that I love Giannis, and I'm not playing that much Giannis on DraftKings. I just want to say if the game does stay close, he's gonna put up 55 points. He's too cheap. Was really my issue, I guess. Middleton's reasonable, but I mean you can't play. I don't think you can play him on this slate. But Giannis is just too cheap. If we have so much value opening up, it seems like the safest guy to take it with. Now we could also make the argument that Harden has some upside, and we could play him too. Gives us a chance at a game stack or something.
It's like so much easier to play. It's so much easier to justify playing like Giannis always, as opposed to like one of the Brooklyn guys, right? Because of the way all the usage is concentrated, right?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I'm with you. It's not a great game thing to play. I mean, on a big slate in general, you wouldn't think, but like we don't have Luka, we don't have Jokic. It's a little different tonight. So anyway, so I do like. I do think that I'll end up with some Giannis just because of the pricing. And other than that, it depends on what happens with if Garland or if Sexton's out, I would play Garland some. I don't even mind him anyway. They're going to play 1,000,000 minutes again if the game's close. This team gives up threes. They're actually not bad plays, neither of them, but I just don't think you're getting them much on this slate.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't go. I'm going to stick to my comment. Is that the only? I don't know how you want to capitalize on this, but I do think that okay. So either Allen or I think whatever Cleveland starter at center or whatever it is comes in, I feel as though that's the only way that you get the fourth quarter out of Giannis today.
Whatever Cleveland starter is what is in, you said? Oh yeah.
No, I feel as though tell me that's like Cleveland's like only hope is like using that is Drummond like deciding to be healthy, play minutes, and have a good game. I think
if for some reason Drummond does last minutes to that, which I don't think he's going to do.
Then you can play Jared Allen, same concept.
Yeah, but you could just stack this. You could actually then I do like Giannis a little bit better.
Right.
And then you opens up Darius Garland. I'll play Darius Garland and Taurean Prince also. Make a little fun mini stack out of it, a 4-man stack. Potentially, I would even consider like Okoro as value because there's this other value that we have. Like, there is guys who are cheap. He's the only one other than the Jackson that we know is going to play like a bunch of minutes. And even Jackson.
And you got me. I don't want to say nervous, but you have me into this idea of like never playing a high usage point guard against Drew Holiday.
No, it's different. It's not always like that because there's certain guys that he plays a hounding thing against. Like in tonight's game, for example, if they both play Sexton and Garland, he'll take turns on both of them. He'll have some minutes where he guards what's his name, Osman too.
Okay.
He's just it's more the I guess if it was only Sexton or something, then you'd have it'd be a tougher one.
Okay.
Good. It's a good point though. Anyway, all right, you ready to move on?
Yeah.
All right, Utah, Charlotte. Sheets. I will start this one off because I actually think this game is a better game than what it might look like on paper. I like Gobert. I love Clarkson on FanDuel, but he's going to be unowned on DraftKings, and you know me, he's getting more and more of an opportunity even because they blow people out, but also he's just been playing really well. I probably think he's more on this slate of FanDuel play at 4,500, but and I don't mind Mitchell. I actually think this game may stay close, though. I think it's going to, is my instinctual feeling. And Gordon Hayward is a reasonable price at 7,500, but it's hard to get to him on this slate. They bumped up Bridges' price. So I don't have a ton of interest in the game, but I do have a ton. I mean, I think it's an interest. I'm interested to watch it, but I think Gobert is really my main play on DraftKings tonight, and I don't mind a little bit of Mitchell and Clarkson.
All right, so this is again, this is going to morph into something else, I think, and the reason why we've been not trying to, we've been playing like centers in the utility spot, like playing 2 centers, is something that Bobby just kind of brought up to me when I first started doing DFS, and reminds me of it from time to time. Is like so many days it looks like all the best plays are centers, and Bobby explained to me that honestly just the algorithm they use to calculate center salaries is just wrong. I mean, not just wrong, it just undervalues them, just kind of like all the time, and it's kind of hard to, well, it's easy to visualize it in your head about why centers are just great positions, right? Because they just don't even have to do anything, and then they just kind of fall into rebounds, and then sometimes they'll like get a layup, miss a layup, get a rebound and put it back in, and that's like an extra point, right? Because they got their own rebound and put it back in. And one of the good examples of that is, I mean, a guy I don't want to say made fun of, right? But in like his last game, Zeller against what's his name against Embiid, he was like 5,300 or whatever. We thought he'd be chalky. I didn't play him at all. And after the first half, he had, I think, 0 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Right. And I swear to you, I was going to text you. I was going to do whatever. I'm like, whoa, great play, Cody Zeller, huh? Blah blah blah. But centers are gonna play minutes. They're just gonna get points, And he scored 25 plus fantasy, was going 3 for 9 from the field, So these centers are very, and I don't want to play him today. I'm using this as just kind of an example of why sometimes centers are just always seem to be undervalued, because they are just the way that basketball works. So that's why I do think that you're going to find, centers in the utility position does really seem to make a lot of sense. So with that said, I like the guys you mentioned. I mean, in other words, I like Mitchell a little bit on Utah. There's no universe where if I'm between Mitchell and Conley, for example, I don't find the 500 for Mitchell, right? So I like him. I like Clarkson, like you said, on FanDuel, and I have no problem, with him on DraftKings too. It's just that he's a little better on FanDuel, as he always is, as most players usually are. And on Charlotte, I guess my favorite is going to be, I guess Hayward. I mean, nothing really fancy there.
Yeah, I just want to
nothing big, but I guess he'd be my favorite.
So if you think this game stays close, you have to love Gobert. Like, I just want to say that. So you look at his game log, okay?
Okay.
All of these games, no games at 30 minutes. You know why? Every one of those games was a blowout one way or the other.
Right.
Every one of them. Every game that's been close, he plays 30 minutes. He's had a couple 29-minute games. And in all of those games, he scored 36 or more fantasy points, except for one. And he's had, 48s, 58s, 68s, all mixed in there. And this is a perfect matchup against a team with no center, really, who couldn't keep up with Philly's size at all the other night. I don't know. I just think that it's a great spot for him every which way. And I like Mitchell. I just don't know how much I'm going to get to him because of my love for Toronto. It's only if you think this game stays close. But I do think I think Mitchell actually is more in play than I talked about before, just because he's been going off too, but the games haven't really stayed close where they need him to score. So even though he's been on the court, he'll still play minutes and blowouts. He doesn't try to force the issue, whereas if the game's close, he's going to take every shot down the stretch. Anyway, we can move on.
So Washington, Miami, this is, I don't want to say narrative to kind of keep in the back of your head, but the All-Star ballots and voting was given to the fans within the last couple of days, I think. Mm-hmm. And already you're seeing, people start to lobby for Bradley Beal. And I can't imagine a universe that they don't vote for him at some point, right? So, I don't know what kind of dude Bradley Beal is, but he's going to just keep on doing what he's doing. But my favorite, I think Westbrook is a great play. And it's not a matchup play for sure, right? Mm-hmm. but it's just a price thing, man. He's only 9K, and I think the game could be close, and Westbrook in a close game at 9K. I just think he's a tremendous play. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to think that too, but I like him, and I like Beal. I wouldn't play them together today, but I like them both. And even though you don't think of Miami, right, as a team that likes to run up and down the court. I mean, when you play a team like Washington that's just going to just run up and down the court and not play defense, I mean, it could be a lot of fun to play on Miami today. You know what I mean? So kind of silly for me to not play somebody. And this is not the kind of guy that you usually like to play in these spots. But I guess. But is Jimmy Butler that terrible? I mean, that would be my moto play. Is just play a lineup with Westbrook or Beal with Jimmy Butler on the other side.
He was good down the stretch in the last game. He was having a terrible game overall. He doesn't always tend to play great in the super fast-paced matchups.
Yeah.
I don't see myself getting to too much of him tonight, but I don't mind it. Like, I get it. He's still a good matchup, obviously. I mean, Washington's defense I can't even believe it. Like, I honestly,
it's really bad.
Sometimes it's hard to watch. Like, it's actually always hard to watch because I'm always rooting for Washington to make a 20-point comeback, and they're scoring possession down court. They're the third best offense in basketball, and they still can't. And they're actually efficient too. That's the weirdest part, other than the fact that Bertans can't make a three. Anyway, so I of course like Westbrook. He'll be in a huge portion of my lineups. I like the Beal mini narrative thing. And I think that they both have upside. It's a terrible matchup, and we've seen these guys both put up 50s plenty of times together. Westbrook has put up 50 in all, I think, but one game that he's played 30 minutes in this year. So it just seems like kind of crazy that he'd ever be projected for less than 50. You know what I mean? Against anybody.
Right.
So there's a misprice, but again, we talked about other misprices. That's the only reason you don't lock him in, although he is the closest thing I have to a lock right now. And I like Beal too. I think Beal could get hot, and it might go that way. I would point out that, by the way, even in the games where Beal has gone completely nuts, like take that Philly game for example earlier in the year, but Westbrook still at 56 in that game. So it's even if Beal, like, I don't know. I'm just saying you can play. I wouldn't look to play them together, but just because one goes off doesn't mean the other one can't go more off. So just because we like both guys doesn't mean
it's interesting. I want to throw something else out there. These guys just played the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, if you told me, number one, that it would be a 203-point total.
Well, they had no Westbrook too. That's one thing.
Right. And a 203-point total that the Wizards won.
I know.
It would be very surprising to me. So clearly today I like the over, by the way.
Yeah, I kind of go.
I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, I like it.
Well, it's usually you're right on the unders because the coaches make the defensive adjustments first. That's always the way it goes. Even halftime, it happens. We watched it. It was a perfect example. All the announcers called it on TNT. They're like, "Oh, watch the second half." Dallas, they basically are trapped themselves into taking all these threes. They're the worst shooting 3-point team in the NBA, and it's exactly what happened in the second half, and they got smoked because of it. Anyway,
the other guy I'll mention just because he's healthy now, I think, is I'll keep it. Is the Avdia. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned him too. He's the maybe like super sneaky. But the thing is, you don't want to attack Miami in general. It's Washington. They'll make their pace what it is. And Avdia on a back-to-back playing 32 minutes, that's huge. That's an incredible sign. Like maybe if he's going to play 30 minutes, like instead of the 25, he becomes one of the best value plays on the slate. So I'm behind Avdia as well. It's weird to like so many Washington guys in a bad matchup, but I do.
And as a matter of fact, after the game was over, he was the post-game interview. It was Avdia.
He's been shooting the ball well. Oh, we didn't mention. I hate to do this. Sorry. If Alex Len is starting, we should look there.
What team is he on now?
He's on Washington.
I thought about that before. Him going. Oh no, that wasn't. He wasn't. He didn't play for Miami. Okay.
This is the kind of matchup where he would play minutes. Because
did he play the last time?
Last game, yeah, he put up 20. I think he might have even started. Yeah, he played 28 minutes. He put up 24 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's the value guy. But again, centers loaded.
Yeah, but this one's 3,300.
Yeah, exactly. I know. But
that's a great call. Is this guy too obvious? Is everyone going to play him?
No, because it's kind of weird. Some people will play him, but like look at these other values we're about to talk about in a minute, or potential values. at not center positions, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, I really need to, I'll tell you this, like, for example, if you tell me Alex Len is starting, I don't know, wouldn't you rather have him than Justin Jackson? No?
It's the positions.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like, you're saying, oh, all this other value coming
There's
up.
still
But you're saying, oh, I see.
a complete chance that they just try to match up Hachimura because he's got, I mean, he's got this. He actually, I mean, like Alex Len doesn't match up well with Bam. I was more thinking because Miami plays big, but both Bam and Olynyk are like.
But again, it's like coaches are funny, man. They won the last time doing it this way.
You're right. No, I like him. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to try and talk you off him exactly, but I mean, the minutes could go back to Robin Lopez. Like, I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of variables.
Wait, did Len start or I think Lopez started.
He might have, but no, he might not have because they've been losing or whatever it is. Len obviously got in the game and stayed in for a long time because that's
the best thing is that we can figure that out.
He had like all the center minutes.
We can figure this out in 2 seconds. All right, so we're looking.
Oh, but Mo Wagner sat too, and we don't know that he's going to sit tonight, or was he a DN play? No, I think he sat on the back-to-back.
What date did they play?
They just played 2 days ago, right?
All right, so we'll just take a look at this. And this is a great site. I really love this site. Actually.
The popcorn machine, yeah.
All right, so Len did not start. So Lopez started. Len came in and he played. Oh, so they had Len. They had Len take over for Lopez in the third quarter and then totally close. He played 15 minutes in a row
On a comeback. So it's a little. I don't. Maybe they will start him. So if they do start him, but I mean, I'm just saying we've seen Len play poorly for a few minutes to start a game and then just never come back so many times. I've done this with him so many times. So just don't like lock it in or
how about Rui playing 35 minutes in that game?
I know on a back-to-back too. They're desperately trying to win games, so they'll do whatever they can to try and desperately win games, which is why we like Westbrook and Beal too.
I mean, this is with this whole game was no Westbrook, right? Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's jump over to Minnesota, Oklahoma City. I'll start it off. So let's start it off on the OKC side rather than Minnesota because that's what matters more, I think. I have interest in everybody. It's Diallo is probably going to be one of, if not the most popular play on the slate. For good reason. We have no Dort. We supposedly have no Shea. Although, like, just keep an eye out because if you somehow get that information later today, obviously this changes everything. Maladon, definitely interested. You know, it's just the minutes feel very secure, and it's always odd for a guy who's projected at a number that he's like hit once in his life, but he's never.
Shea is out.
Shea is. I mean, that's what we have as of now, right? Yeah. But did you just get a notification?
It says Shea will not play Friday against Minnesota.
Okay, cool. I heard that he was doubtful.
Okay.
But that's still whatever. Yeah, I don't think he'll play either. Also, they just won. So Diallo, Maladon, in terms of interest, it's Diallo, Maladon, Jackson, and Baisley about the same level of interest, even though they're different prices. Then Kenrich Williams, and then a little bit of Al Horford.
Well, let me ask you this one because I think this is the more relevant thing. So, what degree do these plays are contingent on them starting? And I say that it only really applies to a couple of guys, right? So we know that I presume that Diallo will start, Maladon will start, but obviously Baisley will start. But like, does Justin Jackson have to start, or does Kenrich Williams have to start for you to like them, or no?
I would doubt that they would start Kenrich, but it's possible. No, because I mean Justin Jackson still played 29 minutes in the last game. Now I would be less bothered, but if like Kenrich started, I would be less interested in Jackson and be more interested in Kenrich.
If Jackson started.
No, if Kenrich started, I would be more interested in Kenrich than Jackson. If Jackson starts, I'm more interested in Jackson than Kenrich, but I still like Kenrich, and I think that he might actually be the better play. I'll just have to weigh it out and see if how much either of them are getting owned and if that's going to factor in. Because I did end up throwing Kenrich in a few lineups last time.
I'll tell you who might be the overlooked one in the whole thing, and that would be Isaiah Roby. And the reason why he would be overlooked is because, well, I mean, Horford's playing, right? And not only is Horford playing, but he had a good game his last game, and they're going to play all the other OKC guys. I don't know how this game is going to go. Seems like a weird game.
When Roby got the, let's just be clear about one thing. Roby got the blowout run in the last game. We aren't sure if he'll play like 9 minutes.
Yeah, I'm aware, but
he also might play 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay,
so maybe he's a reach.
They don't. Well, I have him as a reach. I have him like as like a 1 to 2% kind of a guy, you know.
Okay.
But I did think about him. I just was, you know. Plus, you never know. We might get that late Al Horford's out, and then all of a sudden we really have to stack up that thing.
And then then the obvious question is, do we? Okay, not do we have to? It would obviously be nice if you could play Minnesota guys, right? So the first guy I would go to is presuming he plays again, is D'Angelo Russell. I don't even know who's the favorite in this game.
It's pretty close. It's Minnesota's a 1.5 point favorite. Boy, you don't get it. You won't hear that very often this season.
That's what I mean. Well, I was going to say also you won't hear too often that Oklahoma City's only 1.5 point underdog.
Yeah, that's true. Fair enough.
Especially missing Shea.
Missing Shea. Oh my God! It took
these are two of the worst, right? So I don't know. You want to play D'Angelo Russell and Naz Reid or something like that?
Minnesota favored in a road game is not something I expected to see this season without Karl-Anthony Towns. Anyway, sorry.
You want to play D'Angelo Russell and Naz Reid or something like that?
I do want to play a little bit of him. I also want to play some of Naz Reid. Did you say Naz Reid?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I will take the other side of the minimum cost argument and just say that I still have some love that Jaden Daniels is going to get more minutes one of these days. And the guy can produce, I think, and he's 3K, so he's a long shot play, but he's on my list.
Just to remind you what we talked about earlier, so what you talked about between Jackson and Kenrich and Williams starting. Mm-hmm. So you would take, because I don't think both of them could start. So if Jackson starts, so I guess reading between the lines, if Jackson starts, you play Jackson and you could still play Williams. Yeah. But if Williams start, you play Williams but might not play Jackson?
No, you still play Jackson. They just don't have enough bodies.
Okay.
I mean, I've got them as a 9-man rotation right now. And if they end up having a 10th guy or something, that would be different. But I don't have the 10th guy for them right now. And unless they're going to play Darius. And by the way, it's not out of the question that Darius Miller goes out there and plays 20 minutes and hits 5 threes. That is completely not out of the question. I've seen that happen before when this guy played no minutes in New Orleans and then came out and put up like 45 fantasy points the next game. It's not as, I don't think it's likely, but I'm just throwing it out there. There's just not enough bodies to where you'd still think Jackson and or Kenrich Williams should be fine.
Yeah. It's a tough game to fade.
I know we've gone on for a while, but it's because some of these games are tough, you know what I mean? And this one is the biggest one because you've got the most value.
Well, so the reason you want to move on a little bit?
Yeah.
So the reason why we do all this and the reason why you obviously you want to find value and find these slots is because there's certain plays that you just kind of have to make. And one of them is freaking Josh Jackson going back to Phoenix. I mean, like, you don't play this, you're not human. That's my opinion. He's playing better. He has like you said, I mean, I'm stealing Bobby's thunder, I presume. He's playing better. He has a role. He's going back to Phoenix where he was basically left for dead. And I think I'm in, man. I don't want to play him. And he's probably not going to project at all. We'll see. And then I'll go back. I don't know what to do about Jeremy Grant. I'm kind of into your concept from we went over at the last one of these that we did, where you said that Jeremy Grant's blow up games were with multiple guys out. The other interesting thing I mentioned about Detroit, and this was a little surprising to me. I didn't have him, but only because I swapped off him at the last minute. Was Derrick Rose? He was like a DNP coach's decision, wasn't he?
Wasn't it the second of a back-to-back?
But they didn't announce he was out.
I don't know the details. If it was
I'm telling you,
none of that would.
Yeah, there it is. So yeah, it was February 4th. He was not on the injury report. There was no
back-to-back is all that matters, I think.
He hasn't played since the 30th of January.
Then how many? Okay, well, hold on. Let me look this up. Do you have it called up right now? Let's see.
Yeah,
Okay, so since the 30th, which is only how many? So go to. We need to see how many. How many games is that? It's only one, right?
I put January 3rd. He missed Tuesday, the second or whatever.
No, okay, so yeah. So wait, hold on. Let's see.
So it's not Thursday, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Well, no, his numbers are like we have to see what games we're talking about here, and let's just make sure
Okay.
I got it right here. So it wasn't after back to back. He was just a DNP CD.
I think so.
We're gonna need to look into that one a little bit.
Yeah.
Who ended up taking all the minutes?
I don't know. We're gonna look at this right now.
That actually does. This actually does matter, by the way, because
Yeah.
Jeremy Grant is a much better play if Derrick Rose is not playing.
Yeah. Hold on. We're gonna do this right now. Hold on. All right. So let's go back to.
As is Jackson, by the way.
Yep. So let's go back to this right now. Let's go back to Detroit's last game. So let's see. Detroit's last game was the 2nd, I believe.
Yep.
So on the 2nd, they played Utah. And yeah, Derrick Rose did not see the court at all.
He just was sick.
But they didn't say anything. I'm telling you,
I know, because they said stomach illness.
Okay.
I don't know, man. That's weird. I was somehow that one escaped me, but it didn't really matter for anybody but Grant, from what I remember. And they got crushed.
Grant played 39 minutes.
You know what? I think he wasn't feeling well, and then they were just down by 1 million right away.
Could be.
Grant played 39 minutes in that game.
Yep.
28.
Yep.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, Grant is still. I mean, just for those 39 minutes, that'll give you an idea of why I think Grant's in play. Obviously, in addition to, I mean, Grant's the obvious play. Josh Jackson I like him better on FanDuel, but I still am definitely gonna throw some Josh Jackson in, and he was the guy I was talking about.
Yep.
At the beginning, which you nailed. Jeremy Grant though is still in play. Like he's too cheap. I don't like this matchup. I think personally that this could be an absolutely dominant performance by Phoenix, and even if it's not a blowout, they might just like hold Detroit to like 85 points. Like I mean,
it could be.
It feels like it could be ugly. I'm just going to point out though that Mason Plumlee has been pretty much awesome, except for that one game against Golden State that they lost by 7,000. So I don't mind taking a shot on Mason Plumlee. I don't know how much of it I'll actually do. But it just throwing him out there as a guy. Yeah, I think overall though, it's Jeremy Grant in this game. And then unless you want to do the long shot Booker, it's only really Ayton and Cam Johnson for me.
Let me ask you a question. If this game is a blowout, it could be Frank the Tank Day again.
I'm interested in that, by the way. I actually think he's not I have him in as like a 7%er in my thing right now, but I didn't expect to be that much again.
Position issues, as we discussed, but
exactly, that's the problem. So it just comes down to like which of these guys do you want to use exactly. And then I know Chris Paul's been good. I don't expect this to be the kind of game that it takes him to go nuts.
I agree.
And you know, it's not like they need him to. But also, like some of those games were without Devin Booker, obviously, which makes a big difference. And Devin Booker being back, one of these, he's going to light it up one of these days and score 50 real life points. I don't know if this is the day, but I don't mind getting a little bit of exposure to him. He's really cheap.
You know when it's going to be. It's going to be like a Saturday showdown slate when he's not part of the main slayers.
Well, it won't bother me as much. I'm not playing him as much as I was at the beginning.
Right.
The writing is too clearly on the wall, but at the same time, he still can get hot enough to break a slate. But DeAndre Ayton's a terrific play. I mean, I don't want to bury the lead. I don't understand, again, the projections. Like, I just don't. These guys have been getting massacred by centers. I know Ayton hasn't been exactly great lately, but I mean, some of these games have been blowouts, and he's 35, 47, 35, 22, 30. He has those games, 39, 48, 62. Like, he's got a ceiling, and this is a great matchup. So I really like him. These are my pivots off of the chalky Vucevic, even though these guys will have ownership too.
So here I have something in this last game I don't think I've seen in a long time. I mean, if not ever.
What's that?
When's the last time you saw Kawhi Leonard under 9K?
Oh no, it's crazy. Crazy.
And he's playing well this year.
I mean, look, his efficiency is out of this world. Like I mean, he doesn't take bad shots. He doesn't make bad plays. Like
No,
he's so good.
he's a great basketball player.
Just so good. I mean, I'm always like overly impressed by him and Paul George, by the way, this year too. It's obviously not a great matchup. This is going to be the hard part of the slate is what happens if Jaylen Brown is out.
Yeah, what happens if Jaylen Brown is out?
We also should have some Pritchard back, which would take up at least some other minutes or whatever. I'm just saying, like, not that it would be, but I like Kemba on FanDuel either way. DraftKings is a little harder for me to get to him at 6,500. I still think that Tatum, even in a bad matchup, is probably like he's a good play. He's a great play, obviously, if Brown is out. Although it does make the game seem a little bit worrisome. This is a tough spot, Sheets. I don't like the matchup. If Jaylen Brown plays, he's my favorite play in this game. And then I mean, again, it's not a good matchup for these guys either. But I do think Kawhi and Paul George, especially Kawhi, are just Kawhi's probably just a little too cheap.
Just to let you know, it is possible that my video might be freezing.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's freezing on my end, but if you can hear my voice normal, maybe it's coming through okay. But I guess the voice is most important. It'll probably clear up in a couple of seconds anyway. So this what's his name? Jaylen Brown questionable thing could be here we go. Could be kind of interesting. I mean, it's definitely gonna be interesting. I'll look at Kemba Walker when we look at the FanDuel more, but I don't know. I know the matchup is fishy, but and this is like probably me just being an idiot, but Kawhi's under 9K. I don't know.
No, it makes sense. I mean, but let's do a comparison of him versus the other guys at 9K on this slate.
That's a good point.
And and one thing is he doesn't take up a center spot, so that's good. So you got Sabonis at 86. Probably would give the slight lean to Sabonis.
Yeah, Westbrook
at 9K. Definitely give the lean to Westbrook.
Yeah, it's a lean. It's not like a huge thing.
Maybe the argument for playing him is playing him and leaving 100 on the table, and then playing Tatum if Brown is out. And then
I think I'd rather play Levine and Vooch together than you know what I mean.
No. So all these things are making points, but you do have kind of a cool pivot then, because Tatum without Brown.
Right.
I mean, you've got to call him one of the better plays, right? Like the usage should be
for sure
a ton. So you would switch then from Kawhi to Jason Tatum, who, by the way, is almost like putting up the same kind of fantasy points anyway. But I know they've been down men at different times. Anyway, but they would be down another one possibly. So I think that's what I would do. If you're going to play Kawhi, leave 100 on the table just in case you get the late Jaylen Brown news. That would be my only piece of advice. And I do like Kawhi. I do think it's an interesting point. I just think the other plays are a little bit better. But it does give you that flexibility to where you get a better value Jason Tatum at low ownership because no one's going to make that play. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool play, actually. All right. So do you want to jump over to FanDuel?
Yeah.
Position by position.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's very similar. Obviously it's very similar. I mean, the value kind of translates over there decently.
Yeah.
So for me, I guess the best play is.
We didn't mention. Sorry. Back on DraftKings, I don't think Reggie Jackson is a bad play at 4,900. It's an interesting thought. Like he could outscore Maladon, no problem. And just if you think about it just like that, it's just kind of interesting. Anyway, I don't love it, but it's with Kemba on the other side. There's a chance that he could get going. Anyway, sorry, Cheats.
With that said, I think Maladon's my favorite point guard
on DraftKings, on FanDuel.
On FanDuel. And then if you wanted to pay up, I already brought up Brogdon earlier, so I like Brogdon and I like Chris Paul. So Chris Paul, Brogdon, and then Maladon. If you want to pivot off of Maladon, I presume Maladon's gonna be really chalky. You could play Cole Anthony, and then my next one, by the way, is Kemba. So let me just review. So Paul and Brogdon a little more expensive. Kemba in the middle. What? Kemba's only 700 more than Cole Anthony. That's kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, clearly, if Jaylen Brown is out, then Kemba's A lock? I don't know about that, but Kemba's a tremendous play.
Tremendous play anyway.
And he might be a tremendous play anyway. Yeah.
I don't think it. I think Maladon is. So I have him like sixth or seventh on as my guards go. But I don't love the position, so I might end up even using him a little bit more. Right now, I've got Kemba ahead of everybody. Cole Anthony is number 2, along with the same ownership about with Brogdon. Tied for after that would be actually, I guess he's in this mix. It's Westbrook, Kyrie, and Maladon are my next 3 guys that I'm using, and then I'll have a little bit of Derek White. I don't want to play the Toronto guys as much over here, but I probably will end up doing the tiniest bit of it. By the way, if for some reason Russell's out, Ricky Rubio played really well in the game that Russell played the other night, by the way. So just keep that in mind too. But mostly it's going to be Walker, Anthony, Brogdon, and then I will mix in Westbrook, Kyrie, and
Maladon. Shooting guard, I'm just going to play Diallo. He's going to be so chalky, but what are you going to do? I mean, I don't know.
Well, one cool thing is you do actually have pivots.
Yeah, sure. So you can play Jordan Clarkson for openers.
Yeah.
I'll probably play them both. But if you don't want to do that, yeah, you can play Harden. That's certainly reasonable. And you can play. Oh, Levine's so expensive over there.
He's still okay though.
It's fine. Yeah. So Diallo, Clarkson, Harden, I suppose.
Diallo, Clarkson are my top 2, followed by Graham, Levine. Devontae Graham that's one thing you could do to play to get off of Diallo. And by the way, that might actually be the right thing to do. So Diallo played really well the other night, and it's obviously a better matchup and better situation for him tonight even. But I mean, Devontae Graham is 5,400, even with Rozier back.
Yep.
He could easily put up like 40 fantasy points, and Diallo might put up 25 or 30.
I don't know, with LaMelo in there too.
I mean, Graham, it doesn't matter. Graham always plays the minutes. Okay. He's the one guy whose minutes, look at his minutes sheets. It's like
yeah, I know.
It's incredible. It's just, the production isn't always there, but you know what? It pretty much always is for this price. It's always better than 5X for this price anyway. So I actually like Graham quite a bit. And I do want to play a little bit of the Terrence Ross thing. That's where I'm at.
Small forward, it's tough to find somebody to pay up for, unless you want to play Durant. I'm stuck in these punts. Justin Jackson, Kendrick Williams. If you want to, I mean, this is, and then if you want to be a little middler, we could play Jeremy Grant on FanDuel, a little bit more palatable. The other guy, again, we want to pivot off of some of the other cheapies. And again, the guy didn't get there, but Cam Johnson's still cheap at 4,400.
Yeah, I think I would lean towards playing probably Kawhi over here before I play.
Oh, okay.
But I don't love it. I mean, I think that my highest owned are going to be Josh Jackson, Cameron Johnson. It's pretty much that Phoenix game. Jeremy Grant, Duncan Robinson. I actually think Duncan Robinson is sort of shooting up the ladder for me.
I don't know, man. I'm looking at this. Kawhi's 96 here. I mean, I talked about this before. I mean, I know it's not the motivation, whatever, but Butler against Washington is, I don't know.
What is he? So what is
He's 85. He's 8,500.
I don't like that price.
Okay.
I don't know, but look, Butler very well may put up a good game here. Maybe I'm, but I agree with you about maybe spending down. I mean, I'm still spending down. I mean, all of my guys are under 4,400, all my highest owned guys. And then my highest owned other one is Gordon Hayward at 7,400 and Kawhi at 90.
All my guys are in freaking Oklahoma City.
Even, by the way, but to get off, if he's not chalky at all, Miles Bridges has a massive ceiling without PJ Washington in, and he played well the other night against Philly, but that's actually these are both not great matchups for him. But you'll still see he has enough talent to where he could put up a big game against anybody, and he's 4,800 over here. I like him a little better than I do on FanDuel on DraftKings.
Power forward, I'm going to have a tough time playing more than 3 of them. Power forwards total. Giannis, Sabonis, and Bazley.
What about the guy who you were preaching about on the other side?
Oh, Boucher?
Yeah.
Over which one of them? I mean,
Okay. Oh, you just like those guys so much.
Yeah.
You're not saying that there's no other options. You're just saying you like.
No, I mean, sure, you can play Boucher. You know what? You can play Bam.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I kind of like Patrick Williams as a potential spend down if you
Okay.
want.
All right. There you go.
Boucher as a spend down to get different. Play him with Baisley or something like that to.
Man, Boucher is so much better play. Is he so much of a better play than Patrick Williams, isn't he?
No, he might play
No?
8 minutes and Patrick Williams might play like 34.
You really think Boucher can only play 8 minutes?
Yeah, of course he could.
All right.
They were trying to phase him out of the rotation.
I guess so.
They really were. They were talking about how displeased they were because he's defensively, he is killing them. That's why they're literally trying not to play him. So there's a chance, you know. I mean, if he gets hot in the game, he's gonna play, obviously. Brooklyn does seem like the perfect matchup for him. But Patrick Williams, I'm just throwing out there, like, the minutes are trending, the minutes are in a good spot. Getting 20 fantasy points is not the worst thing. You actually don't need to go there, though, too. You could also, like, Tristan Thompson, that I told you the other night he wouldn't play that much on the front on the second of a back-to-back. And Robert Williams, by the way, put up 25 fantasy points, but Tristan Thompson also did play well and put up 30 and put up 28. I think in this matchup, Tristan Thompson could easily play 24 to 28 minutes, and he's 3,800. So those guys are sort of the value guys I'm looking at. But I agree. Mostly it's going to be Sabonis, Baisley, and Giannis for me as well.
Yeah. So at center, I think I'm going to lose. So my top point per dollar play, who I'm probably not going to play, is Horford.
Wow.
Well, I'm not going to play him. I'm probably going to. I just, that price is just ridiculous. I'm going to try Drummond. I think it's 7,500. I don't know.
Yeah, I have some Drummond. I just think Vooch makes just.
I mean, Vooch is the better. I mean, Vooch is more likely.
Vooch is more of a must-have over here to me, because the other centers are not something you want. You know, like.
I don't know. I honest. This is like, I guess this is me being stupid. I just honestly believe that if Drummond, if they start Drummond with the intent of playing him and playing to win, I think he's.
But Cheats, we've seen this happen 7 times, so it's not like
I got you.
And one time he did play 30 minutes, but I would bet you anything that I didn't look at it, but I bet you somebody else was in foul trouble because
you could be right.
They have not been giving him the end run. But look, I totally am with you, man. And by the way, why does he need it? Why does he need more than 28 minutes to put up 50? It's a great matchup for him in that sense. These teams play fast. There's going to be more rebounding opportunity for him. Probably some transition, dunks or whatever. This is it's kind of, I kind of see it here. I do think the number one play is Vooch, but I might even go Drummond as my number 2 guy because I feel so crappy about everybody else.
And like you said, in fairness, I mean, it's not a great matchup on the defensive end, right? Because Lopez going to try to draw him out or whatever. But I don't know, man. I think that offensively he could just have a really, really big game.
Yeah, no, but even the defensive thing doesn't worry me as much because they can put him on like Giannis, and then you'd have Giannis. Then you're just daring Giannis to shoot threes all day, which he'll take some of, but he's not going to take 10.
No.
So, and I think that's what actually they'd be more likely to do in this spot.
They don't need him to guard Lopez.
It's actually, yeah, you're right. And, you're right, but it's also like funny because you could actually see him guarding Lopez and then Jared Allen guarding Giannis. I don't know. There's a lot of ways they could play this defensively, but I'm starting to see your way, like with I just think the rest of these centers.
No, it's definitely as some of the content providers we like to say, it's definitely quote unquote tournament only. It's definitely carries with a lot of.
But what happens though when he ends up 20% owned today? That's the problem.
Well, that's the issue is on FanDuel is that he is going to be 20% owned.
He might, yeah. I mean, depends on what else happens. Yeah.
I mean, my first runs a couple of them haven't even come in yet, but yeah, I got one side with him 25% already.
What are your thoughts on Naz Reid?
Yeah, so I have him just like, this is not bad, like 6. It's not terrible, right?
Yeah, I mean,
I think I'd rather play Cody Zeller.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're close to me, but I mean, if Naz Reid's going to play 30 minutes, I like he's better as a fantasy point producer, but
I don't like Horford. I don't know why I don't like Horford.
I don't know. Maybe we're wrong about not liking Horford. First of all, he looks good. The game wasn't a blowout last time out. He would have probably put up 40.
He's played great both games since he's been back, for sure.
All four.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's put up. I mean, not always put up numbers, but it's because the two of them were blowouts. But yeah, maybe I think I'm actually okay. So I guess I'm ranking him Vooch, Drummond for the potential upside. But by the way, even if he doesn't hit the upside, you still can play him over all these other guys.
Vooch is the best player. I mean, he just is.
Yeah, without a doubt. But
and you're going to need to spend up over here. I'm telling you, you're just going to need to.
You're going to need to buy your builds almost no matter what you do. I totally agree. I mean, yeah, you could overpay for Ayton. Nah, I think I'd rather overpay for Gobert. That would be my next one. Overpay for Gobert in that spot.
Okay.
But I don't love it. Yeah, I think I'm just looking for ways off of it because it seems pretty obvious what everyone else is going to do. Maybe we just play different things elsewhere. What do you think Josh Jackson's ownership is? You want to make a little action on this on FanDuel tonight?
What do I think Josh Jackson's ownership is on FanDuel?
Because you brought up a very important point that I did.
My initial run on draft for FanDuel is I have him at 2%.
Wow. My guess is he ends up like in the higher buy-ins around 8 to 10, maybe higher. But one other thing about playing him in the later game, there's still the potential, like you always have with Blake and apparently with Derrick Rose on your team. These guys, you never know if they're going to show up or play. It happens all the time. So if they're out or something, that opens everything up for him, and he would be a chalk play at that time of night, obviously, if you knew he was gonna, if those guys were out, one of those guys were out. Anyway, I like him anyway, so I don't know why. I'm just curious what you thought it would be. I thought it'd be like a little bit higher.
I will say that the small forward position in general is very spread out ownership wise.
That's why I thought that he would get some love, because people would just.
I have Cam Johnson at 15%.
I have Cam Johnson. Yeah, I have Cam Johnson quite a bit, and
I got Justin Jackson at 13%.
What's Duncan Robinson is my other one though. I know he sucked lately, but it's, if you had to design a matchup for Duncan Robinson, this would be it.
Yeah.
He just gets to stand and make a bunch of threes, maybe get some steals and blocks and rebounds. That's it. All
so
right.
We'll be waiting on. So that's a second to last game, right? The Josh Jackson game.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, we'll be back with you later. We're gonna do an NFL breakdown and Sheets. Anything else before I leave the people?
Nope. Give me like 10 minutes for the football.
All right. Good luck to everyone out there. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboard.